It is my pleasure to host all of you. First, I would like to acknowledge Alison for her time and wisdom today, and Zoë Cohen, who has been instrumental in helping us get this series of 5 webinars off the ground and actually delivered. But this is not the end of the series. I know that through the last few months, we've been announcing, 5 webinars, 1 a month since March, and we've actually had such positive feedback that one of the things we've very gratefully actually discussed and engaged colleagues around was the continuation of this for 2 more series. So we're going to do, come September and October, we're going to do a wrap-up session, which we're shaping, which probably will take the shape of panel discussion, also inviting you to take part with your own reflections, what it is that has changed for you and things like that, but it's taking shape as we speak with Zoë. And then we're also going to host a very, very practical session, tools and techniques that Charly Cox team is supporting in the delivery of this. So this is a very short message from me to say, this is not the end of this. We never started the coaching and climate series as a hot topic, one that begins and finishes quickly. We place a lot of importance in this topic and the relevance for coaching. So we'd like to continue with this sense of this is not over. This is just the beginning of it. So come September, October, we will hopefully see you again. Announcements of what I've just said will be up in the website, very clear, and you're always welcome to email us. I'm going to be working with Zoë over the next, on the summer months to shape this up. And I think that's all I had to do today. We are recording, so you're responsible for your GDPR. Disclose what you may, but you're responsible for that. We're going to have breakout sessions. Those will not be recorded. And from here, just welcome from me and over to Alison. Thank you.
Oh, I'm feeling a bit nervous now. I was feeling nervous before and now it's just gone a bit more nervous. So in a minute, we're going to do a presencing exercise, which is obviously more for me than anybody else. But I'll just do a thank you to all of you for being here, and a real thank you to the EMCC for creating the space for this series. So, the topic of climate change, I would say, is not only really, really important, but I think it's the most important dialogue we need to be having. And it's not just in these sessions, but it's everywhere. So climate change, as the lovely Josie McLean, some of you will know, notes, it's not an issue, it's not a topic, it's actually just a massive amount of systemic feedback that we're getting. And this real shorthand term of climate change actually covers the diversity of the many breakdowns that we're seeing. So it's not just about carbon increasing in the atmosphere, but the breakdowns we're seeing across the natural and social ecology. So this is why I think it's the most important dialogue we need to be having. We are witnessing what we might call a great unravelling. Joanna Macy and David Corton talk about the great unravelling, but they also talk about the great turning. And that's, I think, what Zoe, Charlie, Peter, and all of us here, and Linda are leaning into. And there's great resourcefulness in leaning into the next step, what's required from us now. And I think one of the things about this situation is it didn't happen by accident, and any change in where we're heading towards, and at the moment we're heading towards extinction, changing that trajectory is not going to happen just through passive observation. So we all need to lean in, and it's not going to change by a change in policy or political will alone. It's not down to governments to change this. It's not down to businesses to change this, and it's not down to individuals. It's an everybody issue. It's an everybody stance. And one of the things I'm going to be talking more about, and I think has been talked about throughout this whole series, is that the change doesn't start out there in the world. It starts in here. It starts really where we sit. I don't know why, but I find it very emotional to talk about this, so I might just go off camera so I can carry on talking.
We're with you, Ali. Totally with you.
I will come back on camera. I don't always do this, and I'm quite surprised it's happened now. But one of the things that we need to really reconnect with is our relationship with Earth. And there's a real role for us as coaches and psychologists and leadership facilitators and development people, because there's Brick and Van der Leyden, there's two psychologists from the Cambridge Climate Change Unit, talked about in a publication they had last year, is that we know the physical science. It's really clear. And Zoe has brought you all into that space through the webinar she gave at the beginning of this series, and the webinar she's been giving since 2019. The physical science is really, really clear. And the shift that we now need to make is a psychological challenge. It's not an issue of science and data. We know the data. And in fact, one of the things that we know is that since the UN International Panel on Climate Change was established, and since Al Gore's first book on climate change, we've actually put more than 50% of the carbon emissions into the atmosphere that are now there. So it's not a historical problem in terms of the way we act. It's certainly a historical problem in terms of the way we think. But it's not a data problem. This is a how we think and a psychology problem. This is how we bring our hearts and everything that we are in our minds into relationship with the earth. Right. I might be over that bit now, but we'll see. If anyone else wants to cry, you're more than welcome. And one of the things that we might remember is that everything that we are, everything that we have around us, the computers that we use, the cars we drive, if we drive a car, the houses we live in, the air we breathe, everything is from the earth, and everything goes back to the earth. And ultimately, we are the earth. So, really like to say that what's going to shift our trajectory is that all of us leaning in with everything that we have to a new way of being and a new way of living, with the opportunities we have in the place that we live, with the people that we live around and the communities we live in. So thank you to the EMCC for providing this platform, and for those who've come before on this series, and for those who'll come after. And as Natalie and Sarah say, this is just the beginning of the beginning, and there'll be more to come. So whilst I all get a hold of myself and we all just settle into this presentation, I'm just going to invite you to become present, and then I'll start moving through the slides a little bit more. So just as we come present, I'm just going to encourage you to sit really grounded with your feet on the floor and just sitting, supporting your own weight, and just breathe. Taking a breath in and breathing out. And as you breathe in, perhaps breathe in for a slightly shorter time and breathe out for a slightly longer time. And just allow yourself to settle in your gut. And as you breathe in all that the earth has to resource you. Breathe in the energy and allow that energy to flow through, up your feet, up your legs, throughout your body, and out into the wide spaciousness that goes beyond you. And as you breathe out, just deepen your seat once again and just really ground yourself and land where you are. Breathing in the earth energy and resourcefulness, and breathing out and just landing. And just imagine I've seen Janine pop in, and I think she's on a different side of the world. So just imagine wherever we are, we're in contact through the earth, and we can just simply see and hold our hands out and connect with each other around the globe. What a resourceful community we already are. So I'm going to risk turning the video on again, and I'm also going to tell you what we're going to talk about today. So thank you. What I'm going to really talk through is to share something of my journey to how I got here. And in doing that, the reason for doing that is not just to sort of say, hey, I got this, because I haven't, but is to share something of the unraveling we personally need to go on in order to arrive at a place where we can be really optimally useful in service of the earth and where we are now. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper under the data that we have for the climate science, into the systemic reasons as to why we've got here and why we're stuck. I'm also going to share some of the things that keep us stuck, so some of the dynamics, but then move into how we might reframe. What are the useful perspectives we can access? To understand the shift? How might we reframe our practice? And what pathways might there be? And I'm seeing this as a journey where we've already invited the earth in to join us as a resource, which is really helpful. But we're all on this journey together. So this journey of discovery is mine as well as yours. So that's what we're here for. The first thing that we're going to do, however, is to dip into breakout rooms. Because what I want to do is for you to connect a little bit with each other, but also to connect with gratitude. And the reason for connecting with gratitude is that gratitude is a really generative place to start. And it moves us out of judgment, it moves us into compassion, and it moves us into resourcefulness. And it removes us from judgment, both of ourselves and each other. And if we're going to have a shift in how we operate, we need to move into a place of compassion and not judging, because none of us have got this. We're all part of this toxic system, and we all need to do our work to move. And we can only do that when we're grateful and in an open and resource place. So this exercise also connects us back with Earth and with ourselves and our resourcefulness and our strengths. It's a really simple exercise from a lady called Joanna Macy, who's just an absolute guru in this field. So I'm going to ask you in pairs to take turns to complete these sentences. So one of you will go through all 5 sentences, and then you'll swap positions, and the other will go through all 5 sentences. So some things I love about being alive on Earth are ... Just say whatever comes after you've started that sentence. Don't censor yourself, just speak. So your partner in the breakout room, that was me saying breakdown room because that was what I did earlier. Breakout room is going to be a really exquisite listener as you share what you're grateful for. I'm going to give you 10 minutes in total, 2 minutes in order just to connect and say hi, and about 4 minutes each just to run through this. And if you don't take that long, then you've got a bit more time to connect.